Hello everybody, this is Mrs. Snook with section 3.3, proving lines are parallel. So in 3.2 we started knowing that the lines were parallel and then we could make conclusions about their angles. For instance, we knew that alternate interior angles were congruent. Today we're going the other way. We're going to start with knowing about the angles and using that to prove that the lines are parallel. And every time we do this, we're going to be using a similar justification to the one we did in section 3.2. The only difference is these are all converses. Converse means going backwards. So if we start with angles and we're proving something about lines, start with angles and go on to parallel, you're going to use the converse. That's very important. I will take off if you're not saying converse. So let's play around with this a little bit. We're going to look at this picture. We've got the 5 lines in here. And we're going to look at what we know about the angles. And from there, decide if the lines are parallel and then our justification. So really helpful to take a highlighter and mark these angles that we're looking at. So we're looking at angle 13 and angle 17 first. And I see a transversal right here, and I see my 2 lines right there. So there's our 2 lines, there's our transversal. 13 and 17 are then same side. They're on the same side, but they're not on exteriors or interiors. So what we see here is corresponding angles. So take a look at that. Those are corresponding angles. So I'm going to say the converse of corresponding. And what that says is if your corresponding angles are congruent, that implies that the lines are parallel. So that means that line A is parallel to line B. Now let's take a look at angles 4 and 9. So angle 4 is right here. Angle 9 is over here. So here's your transversal. There's your parallel lines. 4 and 9. They're on opposite sides of our transversal and they're both exterior. So we have alternate exterior angles. So alternate exterior angles. Remember converse? And the lines that would be parallel in this case are D and E. So D is parallel to E. Next, we're looking at angles 20 and 21. And we're told they add to 180. So 21 and 20. All right, here's my transversal right here, angle E, line E. Here's my parallel lines right there. So angles 20 and 21, those are on the same side of the transversal and they're inside the lines. They're inside lines A and B, so A is parallel to B. This is same side interiors. Remember converse, because what we're saying is those two being supplementary imply that the lines are parallel. Now let's look at angle 8 and 19. Angle 8 is right there. Angle 19 is right there. We know that they're congruent because they're vertical angles. Okay, but that is not enough to prove parallel lines. And this is because they're vertical angles. I'm going to write this over here, vertical. So we can't prove parallel lines with those. Next one, let's look at angle 10 and 23. In fact, here's what I want you to do. I want you to pause the video and see if you can do E yourself, angle 10 and angle 23. Pause the video now. Did you see that those were alternate interior angles? They're on opposite sides of line E, which is their transversal, and they're inside lines B and C. So that means that there are alternate interior angles. Since they're congruent, you can then conclude that lines B and C are parallel by converse of alternate interior angles. All right, how about 14 and 17? So on your own, do F. So pause the video now. Did you get A is parallel to C? Notice these are SSI, same side interiors. They're both on the bottom of the transversal D, and they are both inside the lines A and C. So that would imply that line A and C are parallel. All right, now we're going to do some algebra. We're going to find the value of x that forces these lines to be parallel, and we're going to state the converse that we're using. So what you want to do is first identify which relationship these angles are. So I have 108 and 15x plus 3. Those are on the opposite sides of the transversal, and they're inside lines Q and R. So therefore, I'm going to use converse of alternate interior angles. And that says that they have to equal each other. So 15x plus 3 has to equal 108. Section off some space here. So that's the geometry. I wrote my equation, and when this equation is valid, my two lines will be parallel. So now let's solve it. So 15x equals 105. Divide both sides by 15. And I got 7. No, that can't be. 105 divided by, yeah, 7. This means that when x equals 7, those two angles are congruent, and that means that lines Q and line R are parallel. All right, let's look at this one in the middle. We have two angles that are given to us as expressions. They're on the same side of the transversal, and they're inside lines Q and R. So I'm going to use the converse of same side interiors. That means that when I write my equation, I have to set it equal to 180. Let me give myself some more room here. So 11x minus 28, that's one angle, plus 7x minus 8, that's the other one, equals 180. Now I'm going to combine my like terms. I get 18x minus 36 equals 180. 18x equals 216. And 216 divided by 18 is 12. And now let's do this last one. Okay, what you want to do is be very careful here because we've got an extra line in here that we don't really need. So I'm going to do some highlighting. Here's my transversal. Here's my parallel lines, right? So what that means is that this angle here and this angle here, the two that I've highlighted, those have to be congruent because they are corresponding angles. So for my lines to be parallel, those have to be congruent. But check this out. This angle here is not just 2x, it's 2x plus 90. So we're going to use converse of corresponding. We're going to say 2x plus 90, don't forget that, equals 5x plus 21. So careful, careful, careful there. And let's solve our equation. We've done our geometry. If we subtract 2x from both sides, I get 90 equals 3x plus 21. Now subtract 21 from both sides, I get 69 equals 3x, so x equals 23. All right, next one. We're going to do a proof. We are given that angle 1 is congruent to angle 7. So mark your diagram. Mark it. Always mark your diagram. All of our proofs will be 2-column proofs. So I'm just going to make my columns. I'm going to put statements here. I'm going to put reasons here. The first thing is always given. Angle 1 equals angle 7. That's given. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say that I noticed that angle 1 and angle 3 are vertical to each other. So therefore angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. Angle 1 equals angle 3 because they're vertical. I'm then going to say, look at that. Angle 3 is congruent to angle 7. Because check it out, I got 1 equal to 7 and 1 equal to 3. So if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. So what this means is by transitive property, I can claim that angle 3 equals angle 7. Those two are corresponding angles. So therefore, I can say that line L is parallel to line K because of the converse of corresponding angles. So just converse, or that's all you need to do. Okay. Now I'm going to look at this picture. We're going to determine the value for x, which will force line A to be parallel to line B. So here I have this one, and I have this one. Now that's no special relationship, but I do know that 45 and 6 are vertical, so therefore angle 6 is 45. So I can write this equation. I can say 5x plus 35 plus 45 equals 180, and I'm using the converse of SSI. Then I'm going to combine my like terms, so 5x plus 80 equals 180, 5x equals 100, x equals 20. That then forces line A and line B to be parallel. All right, we have one last proof. We're given that angle 1 and angle 14 are supplementary. So angle 1 and angle 14 are supplementary. And then line M and line N are parallel. So statements, reasons. 1. Angle 1 and angle 14 are supplementary, and then N is parallel to M. Go ahead and just put all your given up front. Make sure you mark your diagram. So now, because I know that angle 1 and angle 14 are supplementary, I can say angle 1 plus angle 14 equals 180. Okay. I also know that because line M and N are parallel, I am allowed to say that angle 14 and angle 11 are supplementary. And this is because they're same side interiors. Okay. Now the next thing I want to do is I notice that I have angle 14 in both of our equations, right here and right here. So what that means is I can claim that angle 1 and angle 11 are congruent to each other. And the reason I can do that is by congruent supplements. So step 4 is going to be angle 1 equals angle 11 by congruent supplements. We then have angle 1 and angle 11. Those two are alternate exterior angles. And guess what? That right there is enough to prove that line A and B are parallel. So line 5 is A is parallel to B. And this is by converse of A, E, A. All right, that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching and have a great day.